Okay, I had a request to do a Pinto Basin, so I was taking a look on the internet to see what they look like. This one looks pretty good here as far as a very symmetrical looking one. This one here is also interesting. They come with barbs or without barbs. If they have barbs, they have very short stems. So I don't know if I want to do one of these with the barbs. I think I'd rather do one of these with a longer stem. And I'll do it in the size of an atlatl dart point. They come in various sizes, right? Let's see. It says right here, size measurements, total length 25 to 100 millimeters, average 40 to 55. That's about 2 inches long. 50 is 2 inches in length, so that's not long at all. Stem length 8 to 25 millimeters, or let's say 1/4 inch to 1 inch stem length. 8 to 16 millimeters on the square and barb shoulder variations, while the sloping and shoulderless varieties have a longer stem at 14 to 25 millimeter. Blade width 14 to 40 millimeter, stem width 11 to 32, thickness 5 to 10 millimeter. Okay, width 11 to 32. 11 to 14 or 15 is the diameter of an atlatl dart foreshaft. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. 32 millimeters over an inch wide. So stem width, if it's larger than 3/4 of an inch, I consider it a knife form. So I'm not going to do one of those. I'm not going to do a knife form. I'll do one that fits onto an atlatl dart foreshaft. Okay? Yeah. I read those in millimeters. So everyone in the US, forgive me for that, but I'm used to working in either one, so it doesn't matter to me. What matters is I have my tape measure. I got my heater on too. Hold on. Sometimes I lose stuff under stuff. Yeah, I don't have my tape measure. Okay, here it is. So yeah, I got millimeters and inches on this. All right, so 2 inches long is pretty easy. Pretty easy. I got some pieces of obsidian already picked out. Imagine that. How'd that happen? Let's see, 3, 4, 3. So these are good. I don't want to waste this, right? I don't want to waste it. How is it wasting it, you might say? Well, I can get a longer piece out of it. You might say, I can always do a Pinto Basin on the long side. Yeah, I like to do averages though. I like to make the average size. I don't like working with exceptions. Ooh, nice. You can see the translucency, I think. Yeah. Well, as you can see from the illustrations, not all of these are made from obsidian. Right, I think. Most of them look like they're made from obsidian. Come on. There you go. But there's some made from chert, like these right here. Chert. And chert and chert. But the rest of these look like dacite and obsidian. That's chert. But all these over here, dacite and obsidian, except maybe that one. That one. Then in the middle is a chert. Or jasper. I'm doing Obsidian because I'm taking advantage of the fact that I'm here in Texas in my old shop where no one ventures, so I can do Obsidian stuff. No one's going to walk in here with bare feet, I guarantee. Or even walk in here, period. There's nothing in here except my stuff, and everyone says my stuff is weird, so there you go. I can knap Obsidian in here. I really should put the other glove on, but I can't zoom in. You guys don't want me to zoom in though, huh? So I can put it on, right? No, I need to zoom in. I used to cut the pinkies out of the glove so I can manipulate the camera while I got the glove on, but I don't like doing that with Obsidian because I always get flakes inside that hole for my pinky, and then it ends up, these flakes go down the hole here, and then they end up moving around inside the glove, and then they end up in the fingertips because I go up, I do this, and then I do that, and then I do this and do that. Yeah, eventually the chips get it in the fingertips, and right when I don't want them to stab me, they'll stab me. Church, not so bad. Obsidian, though, these things wander. Oh yeah, these little flakes wander. So is this a preform? No. It doesn't really even look like the finished product yet. It's a biface or a blank or a trade blank. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't discuss is the fact that these things can be money. They can be made to be a medium of exchange. That could be their initial start to their lives. Starts out as money. What's a preform for money? It's not a tool, is it? It might be a tool in the abstract, but it's not a tool to cut anything with. Although you could cut with the money. If these are money, you can cut with them, right? If they got sharp edges. But usually they don't have really nice sharp edges that are good for cutting. They're just shaped a little bit so you can transport them and show them off and say, see, these are worth something if you make them into something. But if you don't, like if you can't, if you're not a flint napper, you just hang on to them and they're worth money. You can trade them for stuff. How often did that happen back in the day? Well, how often do you use money these days? Quite often? Yeah. Should I compare it to these days? No, I'm actually comparing it to the way people are, instinctively or naturally or however you want to call it. They like saving things that are worth money, stored away to use it later. And if they don't do it right away, they learn that it's handy to stash away stuff of value to be used in an emergency or when you need something really bad. Yep. And what better thing to store away for a rainy day than a bunch of stone blades? Yep. They're not tools. You find them in the archaeological record, the trade blanks. How do you classify them? Other than saying it's a trade blank. Do you really know it's a trade blank? Or does it just look like one? Kind of imagine it to be one. That's the thing. You don't know. So it's not discussed. But we all know that some of these were made as money. Oh yes. And in the finished state, they can be money as well. So I just got a new book on lithic stuff. Let's see, I'll show you some books. I just bought this one. I'm reading this one right now. Understanding Stone Tools and Archaeological Sites by Brian Koyman. There you go. Get it on Amazon, I guess. I guess that's where I got mine. I don't remember eBay or Amazon or Half Price Books. I don't remember. All right. Okay, a friend of mine sent me these books. These were gifts. Early Man Projectile Points in the Southwest. Museum of New Mexico Press. Good luck finding this one. Quartz Technology in Prehistoric New England, edited by Russell Barber. I'm currently looking at that one. That one's pretty cool, actually. Alternative Approaches to Lithic Analysis, Donald O. Henry and George Odell. Yeah, it looks like a textbook from 1989. Yeah. A little bit worn out, but I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Yeah. So, I got those to keep me busy when I'm not watching my other videos. What do they do with that other book? The Southwest. I was going to open that up, but now I don't see it. Oh well. It's in there somewhere, right? It's got to be here somewhere. It won't go far. Yeah, there it is. Early Man Projectile Points. That's where I got the idea for the Sandia point. Yeah. Where's the Sandia? Right there. That's where I got the idea. The idea for the Sandia. From this one here. Early Man. We know that there's earlier men than those early man artifacts. Nowadays. Don't we? Oh yes. We're slowly sinking that sailboat with dozens of torpedoes. That's that sailboat that says Clovis was first. Yeah, very little evidence that is true. Lot of evidence coming out that there were people here before Clovis. In case you didn't know. Not only before, but way before. Yeah. Like they already knew where all the rock sources were before Clovis was even invented. And the Clovis people were easily able to pick up materials for their tools no matter where they were. Almost like if they magically knew where all the rock sources were. Almost instantaneously. Right? Because Clovis supposedly spread across the 2 continents extremely fast. Within 300 years, Clovis was everywhere. How did that happen if there weren't already people here? And without knowledge of where all the rock sources were? That's a hard one to justify. But they tried, and they failed. Oh yes. Anyway, early man points are still I was gonna say easy, still cool to explore and to make, to explore the concept of early points. But yeah, it's turning out that there's already a long lithic tradition before Clovis. We just gotta find more evidence. I don't deny that evidence is important. I just think it's better used in criticism than in support. Okay? That's it. So are these translucent flakes? Oh yes. Yes they are. Is this translucent yet? I don't know, it still looks kind of not translucent. Come on, focus on it. Let's see. Very translucent. I wonder if we could look at the sun through a flake of obsidian without blinding ourselves. That's a thought, isn't it? Can you look at the sun through an arrowhead? If it's thin enough, one of these days I'm going to try it with a piece of obsidian like this and see if I can. If I can look at the sun and see the perfectly round sun without damaging my eyes, I will let you know. I'll get it on video. Okay? If not with a flake. I think that would be significant to know if it can be done, because you know that if it can be, they did it back in the day. Oh yes. And that's how they figured out that the sun and the moon were the same size. Yeah. Not even kidding. Same size to us, not the same size in real life, but to us, with our perspective, they look exactly the same size. And coincidentally, they are remarkably close to the same size in perspective. You know, the way we see them. All right. So what else? What's next on the agenda? I need to flake the edges. How do I do the edges without copper? I'm looking for a tool here. Hold on. I got my copper pressure flaker, but it's worn down very, very small, so I'm going to use it for the very ending. I do have antlers and stuff, but I'm not going to use antlers for a while. I'm not going to be using antlers for I don't know how long now. I don't have any plans on using them, but I got to start getting them out. People want to see. I'm starting to get backed up on requests for doing the natural tool thing. We'll see. It's not that difficult to transition, but it can be frustrating. Now I'm using steel, 1/4 inch steel. It's a nail that I got at the hardware store. That's a good hardware store. Go with your tape measure into the hardware store. Make sure you get these landscape spikes or spike nails in 1/4 inch diameter, non-galvanized, you know, bright, shiny. And if your hardware store is not stupid, you can get them. But I've had not so many. I personally have gone into so many hardware stores that don't have the right size spike nail that it drove me nuts. So I just bought a bunch at one time. Said I'm going to buy enough to last me a couple years at least, or more. I think I bought 10 or 20. They're not expensive. Anywho, I made sure I had plenty. So you got to do the same thing. You might even have to go out of town to get the right ones, or order them online. Ordering them online is dicey though. Sight unseen, a lot of times the diameter is not 1/4 inch. It's either more or less. Why 1/4 inch? Well, because you want your drill bit, you want an easily obtainable drill bit so you can drill a hole in the wood. You know, so you can drill that hole without having it be oversized or undersized, just to make your life less miserable. You want to match the nail to the size of the drill bit, common size drill bit. You don't have to, of course. Some guys have shops that are fully decked out. You got all the drill bits you could possibly ever want for many, many years, in any size. I'm not talking to you guys. I'm not talking to you guys. Yeah, there are some guys that have very limited access, very limited funding, very limited materials, very limited tools. And they're actually making this stuff out of bottle bottom glass. I think I showed one time you can make, you can make a very convincing obsidian looking thing out of the bottom of a Carol Ann's Irish cream bottle. It's dark glass like this. It's not the beer bottle type glass that's brownish. It's almost black and smoky colored like this one. Carol Ann's Irish cream, or you can get Bailey's too, right? But Bailey's is more expensive. If you're going to buy it. If you get it for free, don't worry about it. Either one works. There's another one too I just saw at the store. And I don't know if it's a national brand or what, but I need to check it out. And I think I got a picture of it. Anyway, I think it's a wine bottle. The same black glass. Or it looks black, but it isn't. It's just that smoky glass like this. It looks just like this. But it's man-made glass. It's not obsidian. But it can produce a very convincing obsidian looking point, which is what everybody wants. For cheap. Yeah. They want obsidian for cheap. And how much cheaper can free get? Especially in the city. If you're an urbanite, you got nothing around you but concrete and bottles. You can use concrete for abraders and bottles for the arrowheads. And steel and aluminum scrap metal for your tools. And you can pull nails out of pallets to use for the little pressure flakers. But you'll have to, don't go pulling landscape spikes out. Go to the store and get those. They're not that expensive. So yeah. Yeah, you can get chunks of concrete. Use them as abraders like this. You don't have to buy the grinding wheels. I buy the grinding wheels because it's so much easier than to try to find a piece of concrete with the right characteristics. I had a guy ask me if I could knap a piece of concrete. Literally knap a piece of concrete. I said I've tried it before. Did I say I tried it before? But I've gone to the hardware store and bought their mix, concrete mix from the hardware store, and spread it out flat like a pancake and let it harden. Picked it up. It was solid, but as soon as I hit it, it just crumbles. The edge crumbles and it snaps in half. It's got no internal support. It's got no reinforcement, so it's just going to break and crumble. I've never had success with the mixes that I got from stores. But it's theoretically possible to be able to knap some of this concrete at least a little bit. Theoretically possible. Or at least make abraders of your own custom size. Let's see, I got a phone call. Hold on.